Oh my goodness. Oh, oh, look at that.
So let me lay down some backstory for you. I was going to rallies last year, particularly I went to a rally called Ribfest, and Ribfest has games, and there was one particular challenge there at the campsite of barrel pushing, literally pushing a barrel like this, like a plastic drum, across a certain distance. And everybody sucked at it, including me, like highly sucked. Like there was no getting it.
Yeah. Yep. Oh man, almost.
One guy got it one time and he couldn't replicate it. And I was like, you know what?
I'm gonna take a barrel home. I'm gonna get a barrel. I'm gonna come back here next year and do good.
So in order to kick butt, I gotta practice. So that's what I'm setting out to do is 30 days, 3-0. How many? 5? 30 days, 30 days, 30 days of pushing this barrel in my yard for practice for 30 minutes. So what's 3 times 3? That's 900 minutes of practice. How many hours is that? Somebody do some math, quick. So what do I push the barrel with? The competition was, guess what? Motorcycles. So here we are. I got my favorite motorcycle, and it is absolutely the last one that I would ever use to push a barrel with. I will be using my KTM 790, which is out there and warmed up. My first week, I learned a few hard lessons. Actually, it was like day 2. And I thought, hey, I'm doing this in my yard. Let me back up a little bit. So I marked out a 25-foot section.
So this is measured out at 25 feet. That's all that this is from mark to mark. I got them painted on the ground.
And I saw that that was just far too short. So I marked out another 25-foot section. It was about 50 feet. And I was like, that is a good distance for practicing to get the barrel all the way across the field. Now, the width of this space is not really wide, and you'll see here in the video, but it's maybe 20 feet wide. And so I started to use this 20 by 50 as like my field to cross. And the whole idea that I had in my head, the game I built was, I have to get this barrel across the field without dabbing. I could turn around so long as I stayed within the bounds of the field. So if I passed the barrel or it went off to the side, as long as it was within that field, I could still turn around within the field and come back and get at it some more. And that opened up more possibility. So during my first week, man, I learned a really hard lesson. I got a pretty serious blister, and it was actually day 2. So I thought, hey, I'm doing this in my yard. I'll wear a helmet, sure. I'll wear some boots because, you know, my pegs are pretty gnarly. I didn't think to wear gloves. I'm like, hey, for once I could go without the gloves and I'll be fine. Bad call, bad decision. If you try this, wear the freaking gloves. Very quickly, on day 2, I felt the blister forming. And I started day 3 without gloves, and I was like, oh man. And you do not want blisters on your hands from just the gripping and controlling and everything. Wear the gloves. The second thing I picked up is that slow pushing the barrel, trying to slowly push the barrel, was just out of the question. The grass was dry, the barrel was dry, the tire was dry. And if you think about how the barrel spins this way to roll forward and the tire spins this way to roll forward, they actually end up scraping and fighting each other really hard. So that was really, felt impossible. Of course, I hadn't given it a solid try, but I just wanted to see what other tactics would work. What I quickly found was that hammering the barrel, that was the ticket. I needed maybe 10, 15 feet of like speed gaining to hit it, but I could punch the barrel, and I got good enough at aiming that I could kick it out and it would just like fly out. The problem was the barrel would get kicked out, but I would be moving with the barrel, and by time I wouldn't be able to align myself properly with the barrel to hit it again, to get it all the way across the field. It usually took 2 to 3 hits. And so during this first week, I realized, okay, that's not gonna work. So how can I adjust and be successful here? I started to hammer on the brakes. So the idea was that I would hit the barrel, hammer the brakes really quick to slow the bike down, but the barrel would shoot out. Then I could realign the motorcycle and hit the barrel again. And I found success. And in the first week, I was like, yeah, this is so doable. Totally different tactic though than what opportunities are provided at these rally games, where they like have you set your tire on the barrel and then tell you to go. So I learned how to hammer the barrel and get it across the field. But my skill was really poor. I was getting like 1 in 10. And I was doing a lot of turning around, tight U-turns, back to back, trying to keep my motorcycle and myself in that field and get the barrel to the other side. Another thing that I picked up along the way is that if I'm doing a lot of technical work, my clutch hand was going to the trash. After about 5 minutes, my forearm and my left hand were just burning on fire. I would have to stop, take a little 20, 30-second break, and then I could start back at it. And every 5 to 10 minutes thereafter, I would have to stop. Like just stop, because my forearm would be so burned up. And then I would start like losing, like dropping the clutch when I shouldn't be, and things like that. So I made a post, went on Facebook, and I said, hey, this is what I'm doing, this barrel pushing thing. And I had a friend comment and say, hey, you should try slow pushing it, pushing it slowly with your front tire. And I thought, hey, I already tried that. That didn't work. It's pretty much impossible unless you're putting your feet down. I didn't tell him that, but I thought this guy's done some really good stuff. He's very skilled, very capable. He's probably been to more rallies than I have and seen more things than I have. Let me give it a solid try. And so for like 3 or 4 days, I was trying 50-50. I would try hammering the barrel across the field, and then I would try slow pushing it. And I kept giving it a go, Even though I was failing, I was struggling. I thought, you know, maybe I'll tippy-toe and I'll develop from that, and then I'll get to where I can stand on the bike. Well, after like 3 days, we got a little bit of rain. And the next morning I went out to the field, and guess what? The grass is all wet. And that morning I learned the key to slow pushing a barrel. That's lubricant, water in this case. And I found that if the grass is moist, the barrel gets wet, you can slow push the barrel easy. Well, it's not as easy as I make it sound, but it was possible. It was much more possible. I spent that day slow pushing the barrel, realizing the moisture, the wetness, was allowing me to go because it was lubricating that contact point between the front tire and the barrel. And so it would roll. And so that opened up a whole new door. So the tactic when it's dry was punching the barrel, hammering the barrel. But I couldn't do that on wet days because on wet days, I couldn't get the speed because I had a lack of traction on the grass. And then when I hit the barrel would fly out, but I couldn't stop fast enough because the grass was all wet. And so hammering the barrel across the field became much more difficult when the grass was wet. But when the grass was wet, it was possible to slow push it. And so I found these two different tactics in two different environments. And I thought, that's awesome. I could win no matter what. If it's raining or if it's dry. I've got a tactic. So slow pushing finally worked. But once again, I was really, really poor at it. And something else I started to pick up around week 2, week 3 was that if I just look at the barrel, if I could stand on the pegs, raise my body up, and look down at the barrel and see the barrel around the front wheel, I could control it far better. And so this is a lot like looking through the corner. If you can see it, you can watch it, you can respond to it a lot quicker than if you're trying to read it in your peripherals. So in slow pushing the barrel, I learned also that I have to zigzag the front wheel. I've got to kind of snake it along. And by turning the bars left to right, it gives you a little bit of pressure across the barrel and you're slowly pushing at different points. A little dance. You're constantly on the bars, just moving the front tire left to right and giving it a little bit of go. And that tactic worked out really well. The final little key that I picked up in week 3 was that just like hammering the barrel and needing to slow down to let the barrel get ahead of me, with the slow pushing, I learned that I had to use the rear brake so I wasn't riding on the barrel constantly pushing. Because anytime you're pushing, it makes the barrel want to turn. And so if you kind of get off center, you can press the rear brake to slow the bike down while the barrel continues with its momentum. And then you can kind of realign yourself and gently get back into pushing it. And it became this juggling act between using the rear brake, the clutch, the throttle, and balancing all at the same time while focused on the barrel to control it, to control where the barrel goes. And my skills by the end of week 3 were just phenomenal. And I had an exhilarating moment. It was the first day that I bought a 55-gallon drum. So if you notice in the videos, I'm pushing a 35-gallon drum. That's this white one, you see? And this white barrel is only 35 gallons, which is enough to build skill and develop, But I needed to practice just like I was going to do in the competition. And that means getting a 55-gallon barrel like this one. So this big old 55-gallon drum. And I thought, okay, I'm really going to have to step up my game here. And I had kind of this expectation that the barrel was going to be so heavy that it was going to change everything. Or that I was going to need to adjust how I'm doing things a lot and kind of relearn this. Boy, was I wrong. It turns out that pushing a bigger barrel, both being plastic, these are not metal barrels, It's far easier. It's way easier than pushing the smaller one. There's more contact patch, a little bit more roll resistance. I mean, even when I hammered the barrel, it wouldn't go as far as the smaller one, but it would go plenty far. And I was caught off guard. I was like, wow, I'm even better. I buy a bigger barrel, I get better. And it was funny. But then something really wild happened. I think it was day 2 that I had the 55 gallon. And I was about 20 minutes into my 30 minutes of practice. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm gonna hit this barrel. I hammered it across the field and I made it all the way across the field, no problem. And I was like, okay, cool. Now I'll slow push it back across the field the other way. And if I can get that, I said to myself, if I can get that, I'll call it a day because my skill is getting really good. And as soon as I started pushing it, I thought to myself, forget making it across the field. If I can make it across the field, I'll call it a day. But forget that. I want to make it across the field, turn right with it, push it across my front yard, and then go down the hill, turn right, and push it into my garage. I didn't have cameras running, at least not cameras like this, but I did have my security cameras. Check this out. I could not believe I did it. So I don't know if you remember earlier in the video, but I mentioned how my forearm was burning out after like 5 minutes. Yeah, I dealt with that for 3 weeks. And I was talking to a friend and he's like, hey, you don't have a 1-finger clutch? And I'm like, a what? He's like, yeah, everybody that owns a 790 knows that's like the first mod you do is a 1-finger clutch. Not this guy! Dude, I could not believe it. It was cheap, easy to install. I put it in, world of difference. My forearm didn't burn out once after that. And I kind of feel like a ding-dong that I went so long without a 1-finger clutch, with riding, with the barrel pushing, with everything, and my forearm didn't burn out anymore. After doing as many U-turns and tight turns as I have, after all the brake control, after all the acceleration, the hitting the barrel, the working the front wheel slow with the brake and the clutch and the throttle all in together, my ability to do that has just shot through the roof. So after 30 days of barrel pushing, I'm happy to say that it's totally possible. And while I would love to go back to RibFest, because that was the event in last fall, there is none happening this year. There isn't one. So that's how the competition's going. If you like what I'm doing here, if you want to see more content like this, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, guys. Live free, ride hard. I'll see y'all on the next one.